I don't want them in our country. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. We're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country.
I am a Somali American raised right here in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
I'm Somali. I grew up in Minnetonka. I've been raised here my entire life. I am born here.
Go home. America is home. I have lived in America since I was 7 years old.
You're never gonna win a rhetoric battle with a Somali person.
We're not garbage. Somalis are the most confident people that you will ever meet, sometimes to a fault. It's really hard to bully Somalis.
We are a good example of what the American dream can look like. We're like the class clan who also happens to be valedictorian. Just nice to see that everyone's realizing Somali people are very funny, very confident. It has not changed since colonial days, baby boy, and it's not gonna change because somebody right now decided to make fun of us.
You guys gotta go check out Somali Twitter, bro. Like, they're absolutely rage baiting the shit out of all the conservatives on X right now.
One thing that's making this all worth it right now is all of the memes that Somalis are posting. Comedy can be effectively utilized as resistance to authoritarianism.
Them Somalians some rough motherfuckers, man. They ain't backing down for shit.
President Trump recently called Somalis and Somali Americans garbage, right out of the playbook that he used back on the campaign trail when he disparaged Haitians in Springfield, Ohio. First, I'm going to share some of Trump's remarks. As vile as they are, they're important to share here because they've been accompanied by increasingly dangerous ICE activity, especially in the Twin Cities, often targeting US-born and naturalized citizens. And then we'll quickly turn to what Somalis are saying online. And it's interesting because you sense both the fear as well as the fearlessness, especially among the younger generations, responding to that ICE activity.
Look how bad their nation is. It's not even a nation. It's just people walking around killing each other. They've taken billions and billions of dollars. They have a representative, Ilhan Omar. She shouldn't be allowed to be a congresswoman, and I'm sure people are looking at that. And she should be thrown the hell out of our country.
People
and
voted
most
for
of
it.
those people, they have destroyed Minnesota. All they do is complain, complain, complain. You have her. She's always talking about the Constitution provides me with...
Okay, let's not spend more time on that. Let's hear from Somalis themselves. Just like the people of Portland and elsewhere have used humor to undermine some of the most absurd claims by this president and his administration, the people of Somalia have waged an expert trolling campaign. You can go on TikTok and see lots of videos, most of them AI generated.
Riders from the Horn of Africa, wrapped in velvet and fur, push north into a country of ice. They follow ancient stories, chasing a promise whispered 3 centuries ago.
Brothers, behold it, the white land of the north. Snow everywhere, but look, the skyline, just like on the old drawings. Look at it, brothers. This is Somalia.
My ancestors have been here for generations. In fact, hold on, I'll show you pictures. This right here is a picture of my great-great-great-grandfather, Farah Ismail Abdullahi Jibril Agmadige, having tea with the Native American chief of the Dakota tribe right next to Lake Minnetonka.
As a native in Minnesota, has ancestral ties to the land before colonization. It's the funniest fucking thing. Oh man, I love Somali people so much.
Here's a quick summary from a creator who's actually Eritrean, but we'll give you a sense.
As we should all know by now, some of the first early settlers of Minnesota were actually Somali explorers. They came to Minnesota and actually set up one of the first early civilizations. And as you can see here, this is a picture of the Somali founding fathers of Minnesota. Even this guy here, he's still Somali, he's just half Yemeni. And as well, we can quite clearly see the Somali flag waving in the background. But in the year 2024, they actually changed the Minnesota flag to resemble more of a Somali flag. Reason being, they were scared of losing the history and the culture of Minnesota. And the new flag was actually designed by a non-Somali called Andrew Pekuri. However, that being said, this man most likely does have Somali ancestry. Because as we know, some of the most famous Minnesotans ever actually do seem to have a mix of Somali admixture within their DNA, which actually isn't too far-fetched considering the fact that they've been here for so long.
And the rage bait is working because people are falling for it.
I'm trying to understand how something was prophesized 3,000 years ago for something that didn't exist then.
And it's so funny because all these 50-year-old white men in the comments and replies are taking it so seriously.
This has to be studied, bro, because this is the ultimate, it's like a chess move. And at the same time, it's like the most American shit you can do. Like, instead of me standing in the middle of the street or burning shit down or crying and blocking ambulances and cars from going by or people from going to work, like all that shit's kind of annoying. It's like, I'm gonna go to work or I'm gonna keep doing whatever the fuck I do. And I'm gonna come home, I'm gonna hop on TikTok.
The community of somewhere between 80 and 100,000 people got its start with people fleeing the civil war in Somalia in the 1990s, coming first to rural Minnesota to work in meatpacking and other industries, and eventually building a larger community in the Twin Cities of St. Paul and Minneapolis. And with so much of the Somali population of the Twin Cities being US citizens, this ICE operation amounts in large part to just racial profiling.
I was simply on my lunch break. I literally went downstairs from my building. I wasn't even outside for mere seconds before I seen a masked person running at me full speed. He tackled me, pushed me inside the restaurant, like as you can see in the video. I told him I'm a U.S. citizen, what is going on? He didn't seem to care. He dragged me outside through the snow while I was handcuffed, restrained, helpless, and he pushed me to the ground, and he put me in a chokehold.
I saw ice today, and I'm not talking about the stuff in a cup or in a freezer. I'm talking about clink ice, okay? So I go to the U of M, and today I was on campus, and then we hear like yelling and shouting, and so we're first really confused because like no one fights in the winter. And so then, but then the next thing I hear is like a whistle. I hear, and so then immediately like I know, I'm like, I think ice is around because like that's a way to just signal that ice is around. And then everybody's yelling, and it's so cute. It's like this like multicultural group of people. And at one point, this is so Minnesota, there's this like white guy who is like was in a flannel, and he was today there, it was like freezing cold, it was a blizzard outside, and he's just in a flannel, and he's like, you need to go, you need to leave, to the ICE agents. And then someone's like, I'm gonna call the cops, you're not even supposed to be here. And then I just thought, wow, like we live in a day in an age where like you have to call the cops on federal agents. And finally the ICE agents like just like gave up and left, and like they got a total of 0 people. I know that some people like you just like see it on the news, or you'll see it on like TikTok videos and stuff, and you're like, is this really happening, or is it really that bad? Like, you guys know it is really that bad. Like these ICE agents are on patrol, like, and they like have no regard for law, and they have no regard for like decency. But I will also say that the silver lining in all of this is that I think it really shows what happens when you as a community come together to like really like stick to your values and your convictions, because it worked. Like ICE got 0 people today. Everybody came together to support like a common belief that like everyone deserves human dignity, and that random weirdos from other states shouldn't be coming here to grab residents.
This is the flip side of all the bad stuff that is happening. There are lessons in solidarity happening every day, and I think that these are seeds that are being planted in communities around the country that are eventually going to kick these tyrants out of town.
I'm so proud to be Minnesotan, and I've been getting all of these really nasty and really rude messages about deport them all in my comment sections, or being told like you're next. And I saw ICE today, and guess where I still am? US of A, because Somalis are Americans.
Well said.
What you gonna do about it? As ICE has shown today, nothing.
I am a Somali American raised right here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I can speak on behalf of the younger generation. This is the only land that we know. This is our land as much as it is anyone else's. It makes it seem as if we are less American than anyone else. So what does it mean to be American? This is a nation of immigrants. This is a land stolen from the Native Americans, built by the blood of the slaves, connected by the Chinese when they made the railways. And we are fed by the hands of the migrants, doing the jobs that none of us want to do. Anyone that comes here to change their lives for the better is American.
As a Somali American who lives in Minnesota, it's really disheartening to hear and to read comments about my community, to hear people write, go home. To those people, I want you to know that America is home. I have lived in America since I was 7 years old. When you tell me to go home, I think, okay, do they want me to go to Minneapolis, where I first lived, or maybe to St. Paul? We are your neighbors. We are your teachers. We are your principals. We are your lawyers. We are your... You can fill in the blank. We are Minnesotans.
I'm Somali. I grew up in Minnetonka. I've been raised here my entire life. I am born here, and I've lived here. I've studied here. I'm a pre-med. I do research, and that's usually the type of stuff I talk about on my page. But right now, I feel like it's really important for me to say this. What I'm going to say is that I have been getting so many messages telling me to go back to your country, go back to your country. But the reality of the situation is the United States is the only country I've ever known my entire life. I am just one young person trying to study, navigate life, and live like any other 20-something-year-old living here in this state. There's a lot of immigrant people and first-gen, second-gen kids like me, with this weight on our shoulders, trying to explain everything going on in our communities, trying to defend our communities.
She's a pre-med student. A lot of people are being thrown into the unfortunate circumstance of having to respond. Regular people, students, professionals, every generation. I think that this is really important what she's doing. Just posting her story online, the more and more of this we see, the faster, or at least the more likely that we get to the finish line in this defense of a true multiracial democracy.
I take multiple trips a year to Minnesota and I leave so inspired. You have Somali-only, Somali-owned law firms, Somali-owned pharmacies, Somali-owned everything you can think of. And it's so inspiring to see that what my community could do in just 30 years. Literally, we came to this country not speaking English, not knowing anything. We're Black, Muslim, we're immigrant, and we're able to be that successful. It should be really applaud. Like, I need Trump to stand up and applaud for us because it's shocking. Literally, my friend just moved to Minnesota and she was telling me how when she gave birth, it was all Somali staff. Her midwife was Somali. Her doctors were Somali. Her nurses were Somali. Like, that is so beautiful to see and it should be celebrated, okay? Yeah. Second of all, Trump, you should be thanking my people for giving a random Midwestern state that much clout and money. Like, I don't think, other than Chicago, I think Minnesota is really popping when it comes to tourism because of Somali Americans like me, okay? So you should be thanking us. It's just nice to see that everyone's realizing Somali people are very funny, very competent, and that's never gonna change. It has not changed since colonial days, baby boy, and it's not gonna change because somebody right now decided to make fun of us. That's all I have to say, guys. Back to regular schedule programming. I'm gonna make a video about protein shakes now.
I was gonna hibernate all December, but y'all really got me in a funny mood. Let me tell you guys, your mom, Trump, it doesn't matter. You're never gonna win a rhetoric battle with a Somali person. Deep this now while you don't have a fighting chance. Let me tell you this, Somali people, we are nomadic people. We are still nomadic people. Y'all are mad that we're everywhere. And the reason we can make ourselves comfortable everywhere is because we're nomadic people. And nomadicism is equal to immaterial culture. What does that mean for you dumbasses? Sure, we have textiles and pots and pans and all the furnishings of culture, but majority of our culture exists in the non-physical realm. So when it comes to language, when it comes to storytelling, when it comes to poetic thought, when it comes to poetry, when it comes to rhetoric, you're not beating us there. That is our past time, our future time, and our present time. Like, that's all we do when we get together. That's all we've done. And when it comes to Trump and his cronies, before their bloodlines even sprouted out of somewhere random in Europe, we created the category of human, and we already created the category of roast. And that is the truth, and that's something that you guys have to deal with. Join the winning team or go back to your swamp. It's that simple.
The masterclass in response that the Somali community has put in. Instead of sitting here and working hard to argue with and fight something that is completely and utterly false, right? We're not garbage. Somalis are the most confident people that you will ever meet, sometimes to a fault, right? And you're not going to sit here and argue back and forth and say and prove, we've done this, we've done that. Of course we have, but you don't respond to ridiculous accusations and ridiculous labels by working hard and disproving them. You meet it with ridicule.
And we're seeing lots of messages and acts of solidarity from people who are not Somali.
Hey, welcome to Minnesota, the land of the cold and the Somali Americans, a group that suddenly the whole country seems to be talking about. Now, this is a group that we have gotten very comfortable with over the last few years, and so I wanted to share my perspective as a white Minnesotan here, what it's like living in a place with the largest Somali American population in the country or even the world. The answer is, yeah, it's fine, it's fine. I actually don't give it that much thought because being Somali American is part of being Minnesotan these days. And I'm old enough to remember in the 90s when the first kids started arriving from Somalia, they were in my classes, mostly in ESL classes in those early dadays, learning English as a second language. And so it wasn't a story of, kumbaya, holding hands and making friends with these new arrivals over here. It was a hard-fought challenge for a lot of these kids to learn English in the early days, English as a second language, and then come into the community. A lot of our political, community, business leaders are from the Somali American population, and there's really nothing more American than that. I have to say to you, speaking from an Irish American lineage, the story of America is a story of immigrants coming here to make a better life for themselves. And while there is a corruption scandal that is plaguing our state right now, and it does have some members of this community, the very definition of racism is to take the actions of a few and apply them to the broad. Because people who live here understand that the Somali American community is a broad community with a broad set of priorities and opinions and grievances. In fact, a lot of the Somali American population supported Trump in the last election. They lean politically more to the moderate and right side of the spectrum. And so I think what a lot of us feel here in Minnesota, and I want to speak for everyone, what I feel here in Minnesota is just a sadness for this group of people in our community being reduced to one dimension. And I just want it to change.
The surge in racism against Somalis in this country has pissed me off so fucking much. The way this orange guy enables people to hate is insane. For 25 to 30 years, the Somali people have been coexisting in America with Minnesotans. And when Trump calls them garbage, when Trump calls them this, when Trump calls them that, You motherfuckers believe it.
When you paint an entire community with a broad brush, when you make sweeping generalizations, it's just bullshit because you don't have any facts to back it up. You don't have any data. What you're trying to do is make an other, make a new target for ICE, make a boogeyman, which is the exact tactic that Little Mustache Man used in World War II. I was in Minnesota for almost 30 years, and the Somali community started becoming established in Minneapolis in the 1990s. They're not new immigrants. They've been there for decades. They are teachers and doctors and lawyers and politicians. Minneapolis historically has been a relocation center for refugees. In the 1970s, the Vietnamese boat people came to Minneapolis. So there's a large Vietnamese and Hmong population. And in the 1990s, the Somalis came. They're part of the community. They're not some other. They're not some threat.
I'm Ian. I'm a pastor in Minneapolis. You can tell I'm wearing my costume today because I was just at a press event with probably 80 or 90 other clergy, Christian, Jewish rabbis, imams. We were there to be in solidarity with them and to say, nobody's trash, you ding dong. and if you
I'm going to do another video on faith leadership and faith voices in this moment.
Somali people have been here for a long time, 20, 30 years. Most of them are citizens who have come and gone through the process the right way and have built businesses and are raising families and have brought all sorts of wonderful flavor to the Twin Cities. I suspect it's all actually a sideshow. I think the real thing is that prices are going up. Most Americans are worse off economically, and he's panicked. And so as long as he can get us talking about the Somalis or about immigrants or about all the fear and all the crime and if we're just fighting each other, then we're not paying attention to the main thing.
Yep.
Failure of leadership, failure of policy, and I think we have a will to do better than that. We have to have a will to do better than that and be better than that and regard each other with kindness and love and generosity and treat each other as humans.
It's got to be a scary time in the Twin Cities and in Somali communities everywhere. It's a scary and sad time in this country. But I am encouraged by the responses that we've seen online here and the actions that people are taking to push back against both Trump's narratives and the ICE activity. And I do think that at some point, whenever that is, it will help reverse the tide and restore the vision and the promise of a true multiracial democracy in this country.